How's it going, guys? Dustin at Daily Grind Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be butting out two slips for the Lions-Packers game that takes place on this Thursday, which is, of course, Thanksgiving. Before we get into the video, though, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button while you're at it, because it really does help us out on this channel. We would appreciate it. Now, let's go ahead and pull up the Daily Grind Fantasy Correlation Tool. As you guys see here, the correlation performance looks pretty darn solid over the last 3 months, up 579.4 units. That's right underneath my camera that you guys can't see. But if you want to go ahead and check this out yourself, it's all publicly tracked and available on the Daily Grind Fantasy website. Linked in the description. If you guys click onto the correlation tool, you guys can not only view this chart, but you guys can get access to the tool if you guys would like to yourselves. NFL, college football, soccer are our three most correlated sports, right? And then following NBA and CS2, formerly known as CSGO, also correlated, just not as highly correlated. So highly suggest if you guys do want to get into the action, get it before Thursday when those games kick off and the weekend for NFL and college football as well, as that's been the bread and butter on the weekends, hitting those slips across those sports. Now, we're going to go ahead and give out this top slip, which is the Green Bay Packers Detroit Lions underdog slip, and then we're going to be giving out the Packers Lions PrizePicks slip as well. It's going to be up to you and what your bankroll can afford. I would suggest playing this underdog slip over the PrizePicks slip if you're going to play one. They have a couple of the same props, so that could also alter a little bit your decision making on which one you would like to play. But overall, I like this slip because of this profit margin of 178.04%. Expected value over the long term playing this slip. And then the correlation score of 86.55, it's just below, it's just above this 85.96 correlation score, 100 being the top correlated slip you could possibly have across that DFS app, right? Now, what we do here on the correlation tool is scan the market for not only plus EV plays to be able to correlate across these slips, but the most correlated props together in one slip. We also scan the market for that as well, or these DFS apps and the props that they're giving us at that time, right? So currently, as it stands, these are going to be the two most correlated slips possible for this game on Underdog and PrizePicks. Now, correlation, where if X happens, Y and Z are also likely to happen, and that's why we say in NFL and college football being one of the more correlated sports, or two of the more correlated sports, because that quarterback position really means a lot in correlation when they're getting the ball every single play, essentially. And they dictate a lot of what can happen in the rest of the game and the players around them. NBA, obviously, you might have a point guard, but he's not always bringing the ball down, etc. Exactly why it's not as correlated as NFL, but still highly correlated. And then you guys have heard me say it, and I'm going to say it again, but playing these on a set payout platform like PrizePicks or Underdog, JockMKT, etc., is the big edge here, right? Not getting docked in payout for playing positive correlation on these apps is huge when you compare to a same game parlay on FanDuel, PrizePicks, or FanDuel, DraftKings, etc., right? So that is what is the big edge here. Let's go ahead and start off with I'm going to give you guys the PrizePicks slip, the worser of the two slips, although they're both still really good and profitable slips over the long term. But we're going to save the top slip being that underdog slip for the very end. If you guys aren't on PrizePicks or Underdog, I don't know how yet. Use code DGF when signing up. You'll get 100% deposit match up to $100, and you'll be able to get these slips in. Let's go ahead and reveal the Jags Texans. We'll talk about why it's positively correlated. I just gave you guys a free slip. Boom. You guys are welcome. Go back, pause this. I accidentally gave you guys a free slip. Anyways, we're going to go back to the Packers Lions, and this is the slip we're actually going to talk about. So, we see here, we have some overs for the quarterbacks, both Jared Goff and Jordan Love. We have some overs in some receiving categories, and then also Jahmyr Gibbs to score a touchdown. Doesn't matter how he scores it, passing, rushing, or receiving touchdown. So, looks like we are rooting on some offenses to be moving the ball. We actually have an under in punts for the Green Bay Packers. So if these offenses are moving the ball, Jordan Love is going over pass yards, Christian Watson is going over receiving yards. Seems that the Packers would be moving the ball a decent amount and pretty well on the Lions defense. Therefore, likely that Daniel Whelan is going to go under 4 punts. Obviously, you have some push potential there at 4 with the punts. But if those offenses are moving the ball, it's just correlated, right? You guys can see how that's correlated. Even if we had the Lions punter as well. If the offenses are moving, less punts, etc. But Jared Goff, if he's going over 250.5 pass yards, he's probably completing 5 passes or more to Sam Laporta, one of his top receiving threats, as his tight end 1 there in Detroit. So let's go ahead and get this added to a PrizePicks slip. And if they're moving the ball, it's going to be more opportunities around the red zone, the goal line, and Jahmyr Gibbs is possibly able to fall into the end zone if they're getting that many opportunities, and Goff is going over his pass yards, getting them down the field. So let's go ahead and get these Lions players added in. Laporta, and then on the flip side, we are going to have Jordan Love over pass yards, and we have Watson over receiving yards, and then the punter, Daniel Whelan, I believe is pronounced, under 4 punts. So boom, there it is. $100 on this slip. If you go 6 of 6, it's going to be $2,500. Don't forget the beloved insurance or flex play here on PrizePicks, where if you go 5 of 6, you can still win 2x, 4 of 6, 0.4 your money back. The insurance on these correlated slips, in comparison to same game parlay like FanDuel or DraftKings, means a lot, right? Not only if you were to be able to plug this exact slip into a FanDuel same game parlay, you're getting a lesser payout going 6 of 6, but you also don't get insurance on FanDuel or DraftKings same game parlays. If you go 5 of 6, you win nothing. You could still profit 5 of 6 here on PrizePicks. So that's a big deal, and let alone the bigger payout. Now, I will go over comparing the Underdog slip I'm about to show you in comparison to FanDuel as far as payouts go. And you'll see that you're getting docked a payout on FanDuel for that same game parlay, and we'll talk about it for having that positive correlation. So now we're going to have an Underdog slip here. Let's go ahead and do this. Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions, Underdog slip. Let's reveal it. A little pump fake there, but Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns. So a little bit different than what we're rooting on the PrizePicks slip in a couple different ways here. And then we have Jordan Love. So honestly, you're exposing yourself to two of the same props, Jordan Love and Sam Laporta. So if you feel comfortable having 2 slips, maybe go 0.5 units on each one or something like that, with those Jordan Love over pass yards and Sam Laporta going over receptions, go for it. But it's going to be up to your discretion if your bankroll can handle it. But the difference is here. Jared Goff to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns rather than go over passing yards. So, they could get down the field in a multitude of ways. Obviously, on this same slip, we are still hoping that Amon-Ra goes over receiving yards now here in this slip. Amon-Ra over 85.5 receiving yards. Of course, Laporta also still to go over 4.5 receptions. I'm assuming if we were to check his over and unders on the sportsbooks, he's probably favored on the over since he's popping up in both of these slips. It seems to be a really, really good leg, probably in a sense of plus EV, as well as very highly correlated in both of these slip types, or in these slips here on PrizePicks and Underdog. And then, so we have our Lions players added to this slip. And then on the flip side, we are going to be still adding in Jordan Love over in passing yards. But this time, instead of Christian Watson, we have Romeo Doubs over 37.5 receiving yards here on Underdog to round out the slip. So another really fine slip here on Underdog. I'm actually really excited for the Lions-Packers games. The Lions have been a really fun team to watch just in general this year. But let's go ahead and look at the payout differences for a $100 bet here on Underdog. This exact slip would win you $2,000. And you're going to want to play this uninsured, as they are so positively correlated that if one happens, or if, these happen, if Love and Goff are probably going over their quarterback projections here, it's likely these other receiving projections are also to hit. So you want to maximize your ROI and play it in a non-insured if you have the choice. Obviously, PrizePicks 6Flex, it makes us flex it. We don't have an option to not flex it. But nonetheless, if we look at the same game parlay here on FanDuel, now, forgive me, they don't have the receiving props up for Green Bay just yet on the same game parlay. So we kind of had to stack the Lions a little bit more. So we added Josh Reynolds. I'm sure if we put in probably a Green Bay player, this probably goes down to about 1,500, maybe even less, instead of stacking 3 of these wide receivers with Jared Goff over passing touchdowns. But nonetheless, you could still see, even with this, we are still getting a almost $1,800 payout. So a little bit more than $200 and some change you are getting by playing this on Underdog as opposed to FanDuel. We see this $700, $800, $1,000 lower sometimes between the same game parlay on FanDuel and a slip on Underdog or PrizePicks, and that's bonkers. But FanDuel is docking you these payouts because they know these props played together in a same game parlay are more likely to hit when played together. Therefore, they don't want to go ahead and give you that big edge of a bigger payout because they know there's a little bit of an edge playing them together in a correlation slip like this. But that is going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you guys are tailing. Drop a like if you did any of those, tailed, like, learned, or anything like that. That's going to be it. Enjoy Thanksgiving with family, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's cash.